I've been noticing a lot of new crocheters finding this channel lately, and that just makes me so happy. Welcome if that's you. It's such a fun journey, and I've loved seeing your comments and questions come in. So with that in mind, I want to share 5 things I consider non-negotiables, the kind of tools and ideas that don't always show up in beginner lists, but absolutely should. Now, you may watch this and say, oh, I see this stuff all the time, but hear me out, even if it is a repeat. I have real solid reasons why I feel these are non-negotiables. These come from years of teaching here on YouTube, listening to all of you, and from over 30 years of crocheting myself. Now, before we get into the 5, I do want to quickly talk about hooks and yarn because it's the #1 question that I do get, but it's not one of the non-negotiables, and here's why. Everyone's preferences are different. But that said, if you're just getting started, a worsted weight 4 yarn and a 5mm hook is a great place to begin. And that's because the thickness of the yarn is kind of in the middle. It's not too thin, not too thick, and a lot of the patterns that you're going to find and follow use this size yarn. Now, the hook size can be anywhere from a 4 to 6mm for this thickness of yarn. So I would go with a 5mm because it's the sweet spot right in the middle. And the type of hook I would recommend, if you can get your hands on an ergonomic hook, that would be a great place to start. Ergonomic just means that it has a rubber handle. And what I love so much about these, other than the comfort of them, is that they suit both holding styles. So whether you hold like a pencil or hold like a knife, you're going to find that an ergonomic handle fits well for both. I really like the brand Tulip. But before that, it was Clover Amour hooks. And I still use Clover Amour for the larger ones because they're plastic and they're very lightweight, which I really appreciate because I have pretty weak wrists when it comes to crocheting. Okay, now let's get into the non-negotiables. Now, I know this one sounds random, but it's an absolute game changer. And even if you don't think you need one now, you definitely are going to need one as you continue on your crochet journey. And you probably already have one on hand. And that's a digital scale. Once you use one of these, you are never going to go back. Be sure to grab one that measures in grams, and I think all of them do nowadays. The majority of patterns will tell you how many grams of yarn you're going to need for a project. So this way you can check and see if you have enough to finish a project, see if you need more, or if you move into designing your own projects, this is going to be an absolute must. One way that I really love to use this is to weigh my finished projects. That way when I want to make more than one, I can quickly figure out how much yarn I need. Having a digital scale is absolutely empowering. Next up is a ruler and a tape measure, and I would say that you want both. I've had both of these for years and years, and they are a mess. This one was my daughter's when she was in grade school, and she's in her late 20s now, but I still use this one faithfully. The flexible tape measure is perfect for measuring body parts for wearables, and I always use mine for creating a chain to a certain width or length. You'll hear me harp about this all the time in my videos. If you ask for a chain count, I will say grab yourself a tape measure and chain to a certain width. Using a tape measure is going to improve your accuracy more than you can even imagine. Now, the hard ruler is super helpful for checking gauge swatches. You don't need anything fancy for that. You don't need a special gauge ruler. They're fun, and if you just want to get it for enjoyment factor, but really all you need is a ruler to count those stitches. As a beginner, you may not even like to think about a gauge swatch. That may seem intimidating, but it really isn't. You're just counting how many stitches fit into a certain size. And again, it's going to improve the success of your piece. And a very easy, handy-dandy hard ruler is perfect for that. Now, if you like to watch these kind of videos a lot, you have seen this recommended before. I know you have, and that is your stitch markers. Again, you don't need anything fancy. You don't even need to buy stitch markers. Use paper clips, scrap yarn. Back when I was first crocheting years and years ago, I don't think it's the same problem anymore, but there was almost like this stigma to using a stitch marker, like you weren't a professional or you weren't good if you had to use a stitch marker, and that's total nonsense. Stitch markers are going to save your sanity. One of the best places that you can put your stitch markers is at the beginning and end of your rows, because those are the 2 areas that you're going to add or lose stitches. It is so easy at those points, whether you're a beginner or experienced. They're also really handy for counting your chains. If you're doing a long chain for a blanket, put a stitch marker after every 10 or 20 chains. Again, that's going to save you a lot of stress. And finally, it's a great way to flag where to stop or start a new section. So when you want to step away for a while, just pop a stitch marker into the yarn loop and your project won't unravel. I get asked about the stitch markers I use all the time, and these are my favorites. These are called the Crochet Dude stitch markers, and I believe they're made by Loops and Threads. But I absolutely love these. Now, to be fair, yes, these do not clip, so there is the risk of them slipping out. So if it's something that I'm going to be putting down for a while, or I need to be absolutely sure on the stitch count, then I'll go for something more like this. This is my second favorite. I've been trying to find something that does clasp that will give me the same ease of being able to close these with one hand. These are by Clover. Not as easy as these, but you do at least have that closure. And I believe these are the extra large size. So really the type of stitch marker doesn't matter, just that you use them. Next up are the needles for weaving in your ends. And that's not just any kind of needle, it is the perfect needles for you. We all know that we need some kind of needle to do that job, but for a lot of us it can be a big hassle, right? And so I want you to learn to fall in love with weaving in ends. And once I found the needles that I loved, that whole process totally changed for me to where I can honestly say now I love it. Now what I recommend here may not be what you fall in love with. I just want to share what has worked really well for me, and that's canvas needles. Another word for that would be a tapestry needle. It's the kind of needles that you would see for needlework, things like cross stitch, needlepoint, that sort of thing. I really love these because they have big eyes and a little bit of a point. I like it to be a little bit pointier than this. And so this one with a pointier tip here really meets the mark for me. Otherwise, my number one favorite that you'll see in all of my videos are the Susan Bates finishing needles, primarily this baby blue color. Oh, I absolutely love these. I am notorious for doing short ends on my tails, so having this extra long eye helps me so much to really get those ends weaved in. My only wish is that I wish they would do more than one size per packet. I mean, I would love a packet of just this size if I could get it. Even though these are great, they will eventually snap on you if you're really heavy-handed with them like I am. But yes, the point is find one that you absolutely love, and when you find what you love, get a lot of them, because it's going to take a tedious job and make it much more enjoyable for you. Non-negotiable for me, really. Save your yarn labels. Now, this might sound small, but it's a habit that makes such a big difference down the line for so many different reasons. This is a really easy way to build your own yarn library that you'll refer to time and time again. Save that label with a little scrap of yarn to keep it for future reference. Even if you're just starting out and you're only using a couple of different styles of yarn, as your obsession grows, I am believing that you're going to fall in love with this and stick with it. You're going to start forgetting what you have on hand. So just take the time when you get your new ball of yarn, take the label, take a hole punch or some scissors to create a little indentation in it just so you can wrap your strand of yarn around it, and then just pop it somewhere safe. I still to this day keep all of mine in different Ziploc bags. I have tried to graduate from this and do something a little bit more professional looking, but I always come back to this. It's quick, it's easy, and for me it's a really easy way to stay organized. And just as a side tip, save them for when you're giving something as a gift. This way they can check the care instructions, whether it needs to be hand washed or can go in the washer and dryer, or if there's any kind of allergy issues that they need to be aware of. I do have a final one, a bonus non-negotiable that I think is just as important, if not more important than the ones that I've shared with you today, and that is to have patience. Please be patient with yourself on this journey. Your muscle memory is still forming, so you don't want to rush this, but you also don't want to give up completely. The only way through that, though, is through that awkward phase, so you just have to keep going. And I know this to be true because I've learned this the hard way. Not with crochet necessarily, but with knitting, and I talk about this all the time, and it's still an issue for me. I recently got a book that I really fell in love with, and I was determined I was going to come back to knitting and learn how to do this. And everything that I learned in the past, I have forgotten, especially when it comes to using more than one needle at a time. And I'm frustrated with myself that I haven't taken the time to be patient with myself and get through this awkward phase. Before I leave you, I wanted to share a resource I made for myself that I think you might find helpful too. It's a collection of things that I'm referencing all the time, things like hook and yarn conversions, popular blanket sizes, stitch multiples, all the little things that I'm always looking up. Well, I pulled it together into one easy PDF to save me some time, and if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in too, you can find the link in the description box below the video. If you enjoyed the video, a like is always appreciated, and I do hope that you stick with this crocheting. If you enjoy videos like this, I've created a playlist with more tip style videos. So for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.